Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. I'm Denise with Spiritual Growth Tarot and Astrology, and this will be your astrology reading for the week of July. Let's see, we're going from the 10th, Sunday, July 10th through Saturday, the 16th. And I'm including, of course, the Capricorn full moon on Wednesday at 21 degrees Capricorn. So I'll be talking quite a little bit about that when we get there. But meanwhile, let me bring my camera over here over my table and get this going. Big hugs to you. Okay, so if you remember last week, we left with the moon conjunct the south node over here. And I thought that it would be really good for dream time. But now you can see, so that was, Saturday night. Now you can see by 5 a.m. Pacific time, Sunday morning, the moon's already in Sag. And it's bringing in, well, there's a lot going on here actually. So with the moon here at 2 degrees Sag, just think fire signs wanting to move forward, go in a new direction. But the moon, it's moody, and it might, in the morning we might know which way we want to go, but then we've got this adjustment that needs to be made with Mars to Taurus. And it's not just Mars to Taurus, it's also Venus to the south node, which was there last week too. And it's here for a couple more days. Excuse me. But anyway, so the important piece here, hold on, I do need to get some water. Oh, that's better. Okay, but anyway, with the moon, again, movement, it's our mood, it's in fiery Sag, which wants to go in a certain direction. It wants freedom. It may want to be traveling, right? Because Sag is all about exploring and adventure. Sometimes it can have to do with what's the word? Patriotism. And so can Cancer, the Cancer sun. And we do have that connection here. So I'm going to combine these three, actually 5 or 6 things. So this trine we have that's exact to the sun, from the south node to the sun, and then sextiling over here to Uranus and the north node. I'm going to explain all of this, try and bring it together in a cohesive couple of sentences, to help you see what's up for this beginning this week and what's on the table for Sunday morning especially. So it's like waking up from dreamy, the moon conjunct the south node in Scorpio, and you may have had dreams related to the past and either what needs to be healed. There can be some brand new awareness that came through that can also be a big old breakthrough from the past. And of course, forgiveness is always the biggest breakthrough. But because of the opposition here to Uranus, we've got the possibility for a double breakthrough, like a surprising breakthrough. Like forgiveness is enough of a breakthrough, but we need awareness for all the good reasons to just go ahead and forgive and let it go and move forward. And to move forward into new territory, that's something that you value more than you ever have in the past. So that's still on the table from last week, and it will, continue because Uranus doesn't move that quickly. This is gonna be an orb here for quite some time. So for at least to the end of the month, I'm guessing, I'm just guessing now, but I'm going to say it's going to be in this tight orb probably till the middle of August, and it might even go longer, but it's building energy now, and we've got the exact conjunction of these three together coming up, like I keep saying, in July 31st, August 1st, depending on your time zone. So that's the buildup, the bigger buildup. But for the first thing this morning, it's probably like, feet hit the ground and take off in the direction you want to go. You wouldn't want to get into an argument, because whomever you would be arguing with, we would be in a bit of a stubborn mode with Mars and Taurus. And if you're Taurus, I love Taurians, I really do. So don't take anything the wrong way. But when it comes to Taurus energy, we can definitely know when to stop and just hold on. Just hold on and calm down, and that can be the peaceful safety that we need to get to with that, with this configuration here. And because again, that the moon and Sag, it really wants freedom. It's going to want freedom in speaking up, and Mars is going to want to stay safe, and Taurus is going to want to hold on and stay right here and be safe. So it could be one of those things of come on, Mom, it's Sunday, let's go. But Mom is in protective Cancer and thinking about the past and what could go wrong, and is worried about something surprisingly, unwanted, right? Because we do have these connections here. Now, if none of this is an issue for you about, like, let's say, other people in your family or friends or whatever, they want you to go somewhere with them, and you're not feeling safe about getting out and doing things this Sunday for any reason, because you always have to trust your intuition, and the moon and Sag will definitely help you to do that. It's a lot about having faith in yourself, and faith and meaning, the meaning that comes through when you can really trust your feelings. And we can always, trust our intuition, but often it comes in hindsight. It's like, oh, I really wish I would have listened to the fact that the hair went up on the back of my neck when that person came close to me. And there could be arguments. In the worst case scenario, there could be arguments around somebody saying, oh, those are just feelings, don't trust, what, just come on, let's go. And you're not feeling safe. Or it could be, because with the problems that we can have with Sagittarian energy is when we're not believed, when people don't believe us. And nobody ever wants to, well, I don't know, that's probably not true. Some people might want to, but I never like to say, I told you so. I just don't. But some people might. But we have to be careful with Sagittarian energy when there's an adjustment that needs to be made. Adjustments that this quincunx inconjunct translates into an adjustment that needs to be made, where we have to direct our energy into a new way. And I don't know who would win here, Mars or Sag energy. The moon or Mars is the thing. But these two are not talking well to each other. They're uncomfortable with each other, and we can sometimes have an argument. There's something, there's like an edge that you're on, or something that needs to change. There can be a crisis if we're not careful. It could be that we start out in one direction, and then soon it proves that, no, that's not the way to go. I thought I was going to do it that way, but now I'm not. It can be something like that. It can be something as small as just reorganizing the movement that you are going to take, because now you have a new awareness, a new inkling, and that's especially true when we have this, Uranus conjuncting the North Node. Because remember that buildup of all these three planets coming together. So trusting your instincts. So on a spiritual level, for us that are working in the light, in the love, Mars in Taurus will translate into trusting your instincts, trusting your bodily sensations, and going with that. But you might get a little flack from some people who either don't believe you or don't want to listen to you because they have their own agenda. So you can have a little bit of trouble. You have to redirect the energy for yourself because, Somebody just, they want to do it their way. Now, sometimes it is you're on a trajectory and then suddenly you realize that this is definitely not the right direction to go, but you don't know yet which is the right direction. You're just going to have to back off and wait. And that's okay too. And I would say especially because with the sun in 18 degrees Cancer here, which is sextiling over, so we've got the trine and the sextile, we have the aspect of the architect, and you guys remember it's the lever law that opens up an opening, a doorway. When you can trust your feelings, when you can be very sensitive, because remember, Cancer's all about protection and being very secure and taking care of other people. And you might just be the one in the family that has, the antenna that's up all the time. And notice, the antenna that's up keeps everybody safe. And then notice, not only do we have the lever law going on here, the aspect of the architect, which helps to, build and create, opens the energy, but we also have this trine over here to Neptune, and then this trine back over here to the south node. So we have a grand water trine here from the past, the experience of the past, the wisdom of the past, to your guides and guardian angels in the future or present, wherever you are, saying, here, I have a different idea, right? It's kind of like putting the hanged man over here in this spot and saying, let's look at things from a different angle. Let's hang upside down for a while and see what it looks like from the underside of the tree. Let's lay down under this tree and just look up and see all the life that's under the tree and get a whole new perspective. Or let's sky gaze for a while. That would be, Neptune and Pisces energy. And that may very well be exactly what needs to nurture us. Sorry, my arm's itching here. What needs to be done in order to nurture us to know which direction it would be best to go in. And then the reason I'm spending so much time on this is because you can see that it'll be here in the morning, but in a different configuration. Tomorrow we've got a yod, a finger of fate. So I really have to give this some energy here. Now with Venus, we have a completely different adjustment coming here. So we've got, again, with the South Node in Scorpio, the past, right? So we're, again, the experience of the past. And because of the past, we're wiser. And we know, what we've learned, right? And we're trying to move forward in a way that's more whole. With Venus, we're always wanting to be more social, relate to people, but we're also wanting to be, it's all aspects of relationship and love and self-love. And how well do we love ourselves? So we can't really love somebody else very well if we don't love ourselves, because we're always in a mirror type of a relationship with the world from the inside out. So whatever we value, and in Gemini, it's going to be a big value in communication. But now with this inconjunct aspect to the South Node, we've got some communication going on from the past that brings us into a place where we're all the wiser. And now there's more intensity. And Scorpio can create crisis, and an inconjunct can create crisis. And Venus is about what we want and how we relate to what we want. And it's our money. And we can have some challenging conversations here, but they need to be had. Now, maybe it's just a challenging conversation with yourself, and maybe, you've already paid the bills for the month, and now you're looking at the rest of the month because it's only the 10th, and you're going, uh-oh, how do I get to the end of the month without going into debt? So if that's the case, these would be some adjustments that you could start thinking about to get your finances in a better place, so it won't be the same way next month if you possibly can. Or maybe you might be thinking about moving house, or, if it's possible, even possible, to find a cheaper place, or subletting to, renting out a room, something like that. Or maybe it's not anything about bringing the finances down, but you're thinking about the best way to, to remodel. You could be expanding in a whole new way, especially with Jupiter in fiery Aries. Things are go. It's like all systems go. And notice how we've got, so to focus again into the moon, we have this nice trine over to Jupiter. So Jupiter rules Sag, and the moon is in Sag. So we've got this nice fire trine going on. So again, there's that energy for expanding, which is just fantastic. And we have another aspect of the architect going on here, because, Pluto's been in this trine down here to the North Node. Now that Uranus is involved, it's a lot of waking up about being in our own power and creating what it is that we want. And notice how it is, we have two aspects of the architect going on here, right? So it's pretty much like I've been saying for quite some time. This is all about being in your own authority, knowing that you're the one that creates your own reality, doing the best you can. But when things don't go right, don't beat yourself up, because nothing is ever, ever, ever going to be perfect on this planet, in this lifetime at least. So just give that up. Give up on trying to be perfect, and because it's a waste of time. But do your best, right? Do your best, and that's especially supported here. Because check it out, we have another aspect of the architect. So we have 3 of them for this day. But this is long-term here. This is long-term here, right? So this aspect of the architect is staying here for some time. This trine is staying here. And this sextile is staying here for a long time, because these 2 planets just don't move very quickly together at all. Not at all. So, and then with Mercury here, scooching up quickly, Mercury moves really fast. It almost goes a couple of degrees a day, unless it hits retrograde, but it's not. It's just bringing in more information about whatever it takes to create what you're trying to create, because Cancer is very growth-oriented, safety-oriented, and growth-oriented. It's like, just think about building a house and having a home and a family, or building the perfect little pad for yourself, your own little crash pad, your own little digs, your own little whatever it is, maybe a beautiful little tiny home for yourself. Or maybe you're remodeling and changing things up in a way that, so that it more suits who you are. And then notice the trine we have here up to Saturn. So this is another backdrop. Saturn to Venus. It just may be that this is one of those weeks where you have so much creative energy going on that it's hard to figure out which way to go. Well, if that's the case, just go step by step, little by little. Every day you'll get it done, and by the end of the week, you should have a whole different perspective. And I'll show you why when we get there. We have that full moon coming in on Wednesday, and we have that backdrop of the Saturn squaring the nodes. And so I don't think I'll talk about that again, unless it just comes up in another configuration. But I've been giving so much attention to that. Just watch the overview of the last any video in the last couple of months, and I've been talking about it. And especially, last week. And I've been time stamping the videos too, so you've got the weekly overview right up there in the beginning. So the others, we've got the sesqui squares, not such a big deal. Chiron squaring the Sun and Mercury, we'll talk about that right now, or right after. Well, let's do this first. So you can see quickly that everything I just spoke to is the same, right? You can see how Pluto's still sextiling Neptune. Neptune is still trining the Sun. Mercury's moving even closer day by day, right? And yeah, all these configurations are the same. Yeah, so I just really need to address Jupiter and Chiron, which is squaring Mercury and the Sun. So I'll do that after, because we still have that grand water trine going on from the past to the new growth in the future, the wisdom of the past coming into the new growth, and then up to your spirit family to help you create whatever it is and envision whatever it is that you want, or let go of what's needed to let go of. Some people are, moving house and letting go of so much, and they're opening up to a whole new reality, a whole new paradigm. Yeah. Okay, so let's look at this yod. We have a finger of fate right here. It's called finger of fate, finger of God. It's a yod. Y-O-D is how you spell it. So when it comes to a yod, it's everything I was talking about before with the inconjuncts. So redirecting the energy, reorganizing something. So you've got the two inconjuncts going on, or quincunx, either way, the same thing. 150 degrees apart, and then we've got when you have a yod, you also have the sextile here. So we've got 60 degrees here and 150 degrees here on both sides, and we've got a planet up at the apex. It's the moon in Sag. So again, back to your freedom, what you believe in, speaking up for yourself, having faith in yourself, and letting go of religious dogma, letting go of ridiculous, like patriotism that just doesn't work anymore. And the moon will always reflect our moods and what we want to protect. So that's what I'm saying, be careful about getting in arguments with people who think that their religion is more important than you and your needs and your rights. Because, this is not going to be one of those days to get into an argument with anyone. Now, mind you, it's just, first thing in the morning, and by the next day, the moon's in Capricorn. So, but just be careful this morning. I would be careful all day. But especially even late, because 16 degrees, even late on Sunday night, I would be careful. Talk to your like-minded kindred friends, kindred spirits, friends with kindred spirits, or friends of kindred spirits. And because we still have that same inconjunct between Venus that we had, yesterday, that's still going on. It's just the moon has brought in this whole configuration. So sometimes this can be a conversation, because Mercury's getting pretty darn close to the Sun, and the Sun shines a spotlight on something, and it would be a mood, it would be the way somebody really feels, and sometimes it can be shocking, and then you're having to adjust yourself because you didn't know that person had that belief system. Or maybe they, maybe they made a racist joke and they thought it was really funny. And you're shocked. Like you didn't know that person was that way. right? Like what could be funny about a racist joke? There is no real. That's just it's sick. So it could be something like that. It could be something about a religious situation where somebody's trying to impose their religious belief onto you, and it's shocking. And then you're having to go into a new direction because now the light's shining on it. And if that's if nothing like that happens in your own life, this could just be reflecting something that comes out on the news, So I'm doing this reading on Thursday. What is today, the 8th? Or hold on, let me grab my phone real quick. No, it's the 7th. So tomorrow on the 8th, there's another, I think tomorrow, I thought I heard on the news that tomorrow the 8th, there's another January 6th hearing. So if that's the case, this would certainly relate to, because you've got Cancer wanting to be safe. You've got political moods and information coming out, and the adjustment that needs to be made. Something needs to be changed. Something needs to be fixed because, of course, we can't ever forget, until we get done with this transit, which won't be till the end of the fall. I think like October, I don't know, is it 23rd or whatever, I think. Squaring the nodes. Uranus is involved. Mars will be there pretty soon. Squaring the south node. So remember, and then we've got that opposition. This is the backdrop, right? So again, I'll just say quickly, government institutions, freedom and liberation with Saturn in Aquarius, except for the problem is sometimes the Aquarian energy just wants it to be their way, and they think they know the better way to go for everyone else. They think they're the only ones with any original idea, and some of them are just plain outright bigots. And some of them don't care about anyone else being treated humanely. So there's that can be a major problem, and especially with Saturn retrograde, we are going to see the karmic patterns, because, they did it in the past. We're talking like Rudy Giuliani, Roger Stone, Alex Jones, all of these guys that, whatever they did and with all the plans that they made in the past, and John Eastman and Jeffrey Clark, God, these idiots. We're seeing all of that play out with the January 6th hearings, and now it's being exposed with the bright light of the sun. That again is we still have this, this configuration here, shining the light on the past, right? And how their safety on January 6th was threatened. And who put the plan into place, right? We've got, this is just. And, which ex-president had the moon in Sag, which I think was about 20, or has the moon in Sag. Do I even have his chart close by? Yeah, I do. Hold on. I think it's 20. Let's see. Yeah, here's his chart. Well, here's his chart and transits when Uranus conjuncts the North Node. Remember, I've been talking about. Oh, that's his natal. Mars, North Node, and Uranus coming together at 18 degrees. Yeah, July 31st. His moon is at 21 degrees Sag, and his south node is at 21 degrees Sag, or 20 degrees Sag. So this moon will illuminate something, and it's moving towards the full moon. So it's pretty bright already by here, and somebody's going to be needing to make some adjustments. Where's his? I know his Saturn's in Cancer. Oh, looky there. So his Saturn and Venus at 23 and 25. So 23 degrees Cancer, right? The sun's going to be. The more the sun goes this way, the more the light's going to be shining on his karma, Saturn karma, right? Yeah. So this is not going to be good for him. And then, of course, he has Uranus up there. One more time. Right up here. He has Uranus in his 9th house, which is the courts of law. And it's moving close to his midheaven. And so Uranus on the midheaven. Well, Uranus in the 9th house is awful if you're having to go to court. If you're in the wrong. If you're in the right, you could be free. But not him. Because he's dirty. And by the time it hits his midheaven and moves into 10th house, he's like knocked out of his position. So it's not going to go well for him. But for us personally who are working in the light, just trust your feelings, trust your intuition, and make those adjustments based on, because this connection here, even though Sag and Cancer don't tend to relate the same way, I know a lot of people that have Sun conjunct Jupiter in Cancer, me and Danny Shea, so we're kind of like Sages in the, because Jupiter rules Sag. And so when the moon's in Sag, we're kind of comfortable. We're pretty darn comfortable, and we probably get along well with most Sagittarians. I know I do. And it's not a problem at all. But traditionally, Cancer wants more security than Sag usually wants to get out and explore more. But it's good to get out and explore, and sometimes we need somebody like that to say, hey, let's just, let's go. Let's go. And then, but of course, as Cancers, we're going to make sure we have everything, like pack a lunch or whatever. It's like, no, let's just go. It gets better with age, I can say. So anyway, big breakthroughs in safety, big awakenings, awarenesses can come through with Uranus. Uranus can sometimes be kind of shocking. Other times it can just be just the, what's the word when you're, just like a separation, when you're like, you're just done. Detached, that's the word I was trying to think of. It can help detach. And if it has to, it would be detaching from any old, religious dogma that people are trying to play. And then there's this sextile over here to I'm going this way because this is what I want to grow. Cancer always wants to grow. As long as it's safe and as long as it's smart. Cancer can be very tenacious and very shrewd with their energy when they know that there's, a better way to do something. They're usually pretty good about, no, I think I'll just, I'll do it this way. Venus still in conjunct brings in that more of that communication with the past. That definitely contributes as well, because Venus in Gemini is really good for communication with other people, especially people that have done a lot of hard work in the past and they're very experienced. This could bring in communication with this in conjunct here that gets you thinking in a new direction. And that's especially true with Saturn, with the Saturn trine. Right here, the Saturn trine to Venus. Because Saturn builds, the builders of the zodiac are Saturn and Jupiter. And there could be some new information that comes through in building what it is that you want in your life to help you feel much, much more free. And then also notice that we have the Sun trining Neptune And Mercury's, it's not that tight of an orb, but Mercury's talking in there too. Mercury has messages about how to grow. Mercury has messages about how to be safe. Mercury has messages about how to let go of the past if need be. And your spirit guides, your whole spirit team is right there with you. Right there with you to help you. And then again with that trine, because, we've got that water trine still going on there. It's between this three. This is a major communication going on here between your spirit guides, your wisdom from the past, and the new that you want to grow. So I feel like I'm kind of repeating myself because I know I already said that. Now, let's look at, let's see, with the moon, that little sesquisquare I'm not going to bother with. The moon does have this opposition, though, because we have to, focus on the moon for the day, all right? There is this opposition to Venus. So, yeah, now this to me feels like a breakthrough that can come once you know the truth. So that's why you're going to be, we're all going to be talking, listening to each other, exploring, picking each other's brains, and then trying to get to the truth that helps us to go into that new direction, or to, make sure that we're on the right direction. And notice how Pluto is, close this lid here. Pluto is so 27 degrees here is just about opposite, in a straight-on opposition to the sun here. And the more the sun moves forward, we're going to have a tighter. So all week long, this opposition to Pluto is going to get stronger and stronger. Now that can lead through Cancer and Capricorn they're both cardinal energy. Again, Cancer wants to grow and be safe. Capricorn wants to manifest. So we're talking about very, very tangible ways to manifest who you truly are in the deepest sense of your inner power with Capricorn there. I love that. Let's see. And then I still need to talk about, but let's do it with Tuesday. I'll ignore the moon for just a moment that newly moved into Capricorn. I really need to address this because this has been going on all week, is the square here, this double square to just to Chiron for now. But it's involving the Sun and Mercury. So this has to do with being very sensitive. The Sun in Cancer and Mercury in Cancer are both very sensitive to picking up on where other people might be working through some wounding. And Chiron in Aries, it brings in the wounding of not feeling like they belong, not feeling like they've, it might have been like growing up in a family where the kids always came last, and they didn't want to be, parents didn't want their kids, it was like, don't even want to hear anything, don't want to see it, don't want to, it's like, well, I don't even know why parents have kids like that. I mean, but it's something that many, many people have grown up with. Not being seen and heard, and let alone even try to be understood. It's more like, they just don't even they don't want, you're in the background and they want you to stay there and they want you to be quiet. And you don't feel like you belong. You feel like a bystander and you feel abandoned. You don't get to ever come first. And then it has you feeling, just totally, like I said, left out. And then sometimes it makes you feel like you have to impulsively, well, what it does is it creates a tension field within the soul that has you not trusting your own feelings, and then bringing through this restlessness to go somewhere, do something, be with some people, connect with someone that you can really, be with and connect to, and nurture and grow with. And until you find those people, you don't really heal. So you have to work on healing it within. And this would be a whole generation of people that are, in their late 40s to early 50s, and actually more than that. Well, no, it would be about, Chiron stays in one sign for like about, is it 18 years? I can't remember. I think so. I just know that we have our first Chiron return at 50 to 51. So if you're about 50 or 51, you would have definitely had Chiron in Aries. And I may have just really spoken to a lot of the deeper wounding that you feel. But the cool thing is with Chiron is it's also your greatest gifts. It reveals your greatest gifts, and they would be, in Aries, it would be being very trailblazing and asserting yourself and knowing how much you matter and how unique you are. And you might be a little more brave than most people. And yeah. So if you can balance out that challenge of needing to be sensitive and matter to yourself and grow in the direction that you want to grow in, this square can turn into, you could have a breakthrough that happens, this week, where you have a strength, a newfound sense of strength that used to feel like such a tension field and so much of a challenge, and now suddenly you're just done with it. And that's because of the Uranus opposition to the South Node here, and moving forward into Taurus, which can bring in that blissful experience of just being and being you. And that's especially supported with Mars in Taurus too. So yeah. And that might be part of that tension field for some of you personally, where Saturn is square to Uranus in the North Node and then back to the South Node. It may just be more, Saturn may be more about your stabilizing and, like being really strong inside your sense of self, like, because you're mastering this area of your life. And in an Aquarius, it's like now you're free. It could be that all the hard work that you've done to free up the past is finally has you in a really solid place. Now, Jupiter here at 8 degrees is in an exact square to the moon this morning. And the more the moon goes this direction, as it is, it'll be, it's actually within a 7-degree orb. More like 6, because it's like 1 degree, 53 minutes. It's almost at 2 degrees early this morning, 5 a.m. Pacific time, 8 a.m. Eastern. And the moon squaring Jupiter, it's going to get into a tighter orb, all day long. Now, or all morning long. So what does that mean? The moon in Capricorn wants to manifest, wants to get something done. It wants to control, wants to be responsible. It has an awareness, and it might be, a more of an instinctual, deeply felt awareness of time ticking by. And it doesn't mind doing the hard work. So this is a great day to get something done. The only problem you could have with this square to Jupiter is that if you're not feeling respected, if you're working really hard, but you're being overlooked and people aren't appreciating the work that you're doing, you're not going to feel too happy about that. And if that's the case, if that happens to you, the best thing that you can do is appreciate yourself and love yourself through it. And just know that a lot of times people they're really busy doing their own thing, and they've got a lot on their plates. Now, then again, too, you could be working for a narcissistic boss, and that's just the way it is. Um, but there's a nice trine. Notice that moon here is trining Mars, right? So that's good for bringing in that, self-assertion, just being your natural self in Taurus. And just keep plodding along. It doesn't have to, things might not get done as quickly, but by the end of the day, you're going to want to have something done. And the energy supports it with this moon trining Mars in Earth signs, no less. So that's really wonderful. And everything I said, earlier about the, during the beginning, the first 20, 25 minutes or half hour or so, that the overview this week is still all in play. We have the Grand Water Trine here. We have Venus trine Saturn. Now that brings in something really, so this is, look at that, from 24 degrees to 23 degrees here. It's pretty much exact. Venus and Saturn can definitely bring in some type of wealth. It's good for money. This would be good about talking about ways to master our money, talking about ways to bring in new money as well. And organizing, Venus and Gemini can definitely organize. Gemini can be really good about learning about some new way to be free, to create passive income, is what I just heard. And then from there, get something building, because the energy is it's so strong for that, especially with Pluto and that opposition there. Check that out again. It's, 20 to 27. This is, like I said, it's going to be all week long, right? There could be a breakthrough that comes through that week, or this week for that. Let's see, anything else? Notice there aren't any other challenging aspects to the moon. This little sesqui-square here is just kind of, it's really only in a natal chart I pay much attention to this one, because it just can be, a little stubborn. Like, it'd be an area you have to check out and see, like, what's the stubbornness about? Like, are you trying to protect something, or what is there? Sometimes it's good, it's good to hold. But in this situation, I would say it's more about, I'll go ahead and talk about it for a second. It's more about hanging in there to create what it is that you want, because you're really trying to manifest something. And then again, still we have, this aspect of the architect going on from the sun. We've got that the orb is tightening up. Look at that, it's exact to the south node. So again, like nurturing, all week long, nurturing that wisdom to bring in something that you've worked really hard for in the past. So, okay, so let's go ahead and go to Wednesday, where we have the full moon. It's not just a full moon, it's conjunct Pluto. So everything I've been talking about, and look at this, we've got two aspects of the architect along with that grand trine. But let's focus on the full moon first, because this has been the build-up, right? It's exact at 11:38 a.m. Pacific time, so adjust accordingly to your time zone. On July 13th, it's at 21 degrees Capricorn. And wherever that lands in your chart would be the area of your life. So each house is an area of your life. And it would be the area of, when you have a full moon, it's the area of our life that is illuminated for us. A full moon brings in, it's a lot like a spotlight, the way the sun is. And it's because it has that full reflection of the sun. It's, it's in that exact, you can see, 21 degrees. And it's not just 21 degrees, it's 21 degrees in 21 minutes. right? So 2121, I don't know. Some people go play blackjack. I don't know. I'm not going to judge if you win. If you lose a lot of money, it's like, oh, be careful. You don't ever want to gamble with anything you don't actually can. If you can lose it and be okay, then have some fun. But then again, if you can lose it, you might rather donate it. So, with the full moon, with this full moon at 21 degrees, of course, it's always opposing the sun when we have a full moon. But with this full moon, we have the energy of Mercury bringing in information about how to nurture ourselves, whatever it is that we need to see about the past. And it would always be to bring us into our, with this full moon, it would be to bring us into our power. Because this full moon is conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. So not only do we have moon conjunct Pluto in Capricorn, we have sun opposition Pluto that and Mercury's joined in now. And it's going to continue on because you can see the sun's at 21. It's going to be past this week to even get to that exact opposition to Pluto. And because it's just about a degree a day, but I think Mercury's probably going to get there faster. It's going to come across. And Mercury opposition to Pluto. So Mercury is our communication. It's a messenger. It's talking. What's it talking about? It's talking about, how do I be safe? How do I create my nest? What about my nest egg? What about what I'm trying to create for my children, for my grandchildren? Maybe you're thinking about college. Maybe it's summer, because it's summer, you're just thinking about, how do I get a good vacation going on for these kids and get them out of the house in a way that they're safe and, how can we best use this summertime to help our kids? And that could be like the power of the parent here, because Cancer and Capricorn are definitely parental signs, right? And then with Saturn being another, it can be like the father in Aquarius. It's like, maybe the dad's like, how do I get away from these kids for a week? How do I get away with my wife? Where do we take the kids for a week so that we can get away, or a weekend? Or it could be dad wants to find the best vacation ever for the whole family. And, we do have that inconjunct going on here with Saturn, right? To the sun. And so that's going to tighten up. That's going to last for a few days, because that sun is going to keep going this way. And it's just a 0 to 3 degree orb with an inconjunct, but the sun's going this way. So it's going to be lasting the rest of the week. So again, could be redirecting the energy towards manifesting what you really want that creates freedom in the future, but you're thinking of safety as well. There's a little trouble in this conversation around safety and security and freedom. Now, real freedom is knowing that you create your own life and then taking that self-responsibility. I'm speaking more now to Pluto and Capricorn and Saturn, because Saturn rules Capricorn. But knowing that you create your own reality, and then making that adjustment to maybe reorganize in a way. And then sometimes there can be like a real problem perceiving what's really going on when you have an inconjunct between Saturn and Cancer, Saturn and the Sun and Mercury, or any inconjunct can create that. And then later on, it could be, especially because it's just starting here Wednesday, by the end of the week, you could have some of those moments where it's like, oh, shoot, I should have done it this way, or I shouldn't have done that, or I should have done this instead. Try not to beat yourself up if that happens. Just take everything as a learning experience and a way to reorganize better in the future. Not to worry about that as much. But, that's something that's on the table for the rest of the week, so I have to, give voice to it. And you can see that we still have, like I was saying before, that square to Chiron. So we're still working to nurture and heal and perceive what happened to us in the past, in our childhoods, and why we have the beliefs that we have, and how do we flip them around? How do we change that script? Right? Well, first you have to figure out what the false belief is and figure out where it came from and question it. Like, is it really true? I don't think so. And then turn it around. Turn it around. Flip the script, create a completely new mantra. And we can see we've got this like kite energy going on here. It's been all week though, but it's really intense because the moon's joined in. So the sextile to Pluto was always there, and the sextile to Neptune was always there, or not always, but with these transits. This has been there, right? And then we've had that grand water trine I've been talking about. So see, there's kind of like a kite, and then of course there's the grand water trine, and there's the kite. So there's some way to get above all of this, all of these issues from the past, and move in a whole new direction where you have a lot of emotional power, where you have the power of your passion, where your moods and your feelings and the way you nurture yourself can change, can get much, much more solid. Now, the moon's also about like our patterns. It's also the egoic filter that we're, like the lens we're seeing through. And sometimes when it conjuncts Pluto, we're seeing things through the lens of our wounding that's unconscious from the past. If that's the case, if anything comes up, because it certainly can, of course it's going to be about family from the past. And I just know that it's not who you are now, and it's just such a little piece when we're talking about egoic fragments. Just think of it as being just a little thing that you went through, but it doesn't make you who you are. Don't identify with it. You want to identify it. You want to identify the false belief. You want to identify the power issue that you had with your parents. When you think about it, just think about being an infant, and you've come straight from the highest realms of love, the highest realm of love, or say God, whatever you want to call it. You've come straight from God, and bam, you're here on earth. Suddenly your parents are God to you. Now, they're never going to be, parents just aren't perfect, and they probably won't be for quite some time. We won't have perfect parents on the earth. Earth has to change. We have to change Earth ourselves. It's all a reflection. But until that happens, imagine the false beliefs a person could have about the way the universe works and the way life is, because we're looking at it through this ego filter of the way our parents treated us, right? And maybe they weren't there. Maybe something happened. Maybe it was a terrible childbirth experience and you even lost your mother. Or maybe it was just a very, very difficult delivery and mom couldn't really show up in those first few hours. It's just imagine that feeling lost and not being able to attach. And the attachment is a real need. Otherwise, we don't survive. So imagine, like the fear of death, like coming into that major fear of death. But you can't verbalize it because you're an infant. You can't speak to it. You can't say anything about it. But it's there, right? And that can be part of what Pluto retrograde is all about. Excuse me, for many of us, because Pluto is all about death and rebirth and transformation of the soul. And especially we've got Pluto retrograde and Neptune retrograde with this kite energy in here. And it's Scorpio past, with the node, south node in the past, Scorpionic energy, it's Plutonian energy. And we might have this pattern of just wanting to escape because life on Earth was very challenging as a child. And maybe that's the awareness that we're having with the Sun conjunct Mercury in this configuration here. Is maybe we're finally figuring out for this lifetime that we came into a very challenging situation, and we're finding our way. We're learning how to break through that pattern and come into our true power. And that just might be what this inconjunct is about. It's like we're making an adjustment so that we can be more stable and more free in our own lives. But, it's such a process. It's always a big process. So now that's on the personal level. Now on the political level, this could absolutely be a day where somebody finds, to quote my dear friend Debbie at Freebird Spirit, somebody's in a pickle. It could very well be that by this time Trump really finds himself in a pickle, because like I said, that full moon is on his moon, or was when it was in Sag over here, but by the time it gets to Pluto, we could see the abuses of his power and anybody else that was connected to him that did not provide the safety. The president of the United States is supposed to be like the healthy dad. He was, oh my goodness, he was the family member that nobody would want to have anywhere near the family, because he was such a toddler all his life, and selfish, and a born psychopath. So there was that, and we had to suffer through that for 4 years, actually 5 years, watching him get elected, and now here we are a year and a half later. And he's still in the news, and he's still talking about running again, and he's still not locked up, and he caused hell on earth for us. So I'm feeling like this could be a lot of energy and focus on the January 6th hearings and the abuses of power, and how we didn't know. We could feel it. See, that's the thing. With Cancer energy, you feel it, but you don't always know how bad it is. It's like now knowing how unsafe we were as a nation. And we're feeling even more unsafe because we've got SCOTUS, or like a couple of my viewers here, I love it, they call them Scrotus. We have the Supreme Court of the United States putting pressure on us in a way. This is what the Saturn squaring the nodes is all about. That's, this backdrop that is still, this is it right here. SCOTUS abusing power, and we need new laws to protect ourselves against them, because there's no ethics committee. There are no ethics on them. They can be impeached, and that's about it. But we need new laws so we can have some more judges on the bench. A few of them need to go because they've lied. 4 of them have perjured themselves. Those 4 should go. So, right? Yeah. It might be that this Saturn trine, because look at this exact trine here to Venus, that might be what we're talking about, because Venus wants to unify. And Venus in Gemini loves learning new things, and with this trine to Saturn, it would be the new things would be, because of this T-square going on here, would be the abuses of people in governmental power. Saturn is government. Saturn's the man. Saturn's the establishment. We are revisiting everything. I mean, Cassidy Hutchinson certainly revealed a lot, and I'm thinking Pat Cipollone will, but, I'm not there yet because this is Thursday. So I think that's what we're going to find out tomorrow. Because, of course, I'm reading this on the 7th. So let's see. Anything else with this full moon? Um, no, I've given voice to everything else there. Mars is not in aspect at all for the day, for the full moon, which is probably a good thing. Because Mars can be, pretty feisty. Okay, so let's look at Thursday. What's different with Thursday? Well, we've got a couple of inconjuncts there. The moon's on the other side of Pluto, and the moon's in Aquarius. So the moon is definitely wanting to break free. We still have, this opposition here is tightening up to Pluto. And I can include the moon, but not for too long. So the moon's wanting to break free of anybody that's trying to control. We're not liking losing, us women are not, us feminine, the women, and anybody with half a brain with, that's a parent and has the possibility of becoming, of creating more children. And if you can't afford that and you don't want that, or you can't, what about your child? What about your 10-year-old daughter that could be raped and meant to give birth anyway? Well, look, what 10-year-old can safely give birth? Give me a break. 10 or 11-year-old or 12 or 13. That's horrendous. And this is the kind of bullshit with flipping Roe v. Wade on its ears that we're going through. So that's why we have this opposition going on. It's perfect timing. You got to love astrology. And then Saturn with us in conjunct to, because here we are with parents, right? This is all parents here. And then Pluto is talking to Venus. Venus is going, wait a minute. They can't do that. They can't make 10-year-old, 11, 12, 13. We can't make little girls have their babies if they're raped and then give the rapist parental rights. I mean, if you just think about it, it's like, if you're a rapist, you could just go and pick the kid you want. You know what I mean? That's ridiculous. So, that's what we have going on here politically. Because this speaks to the crisis and the parents that need to protect their children. I can just bet that there's going to be a lot of people moving out of Texas and Alabama and, these states that are clamping down. I'm thinking people are going to be moving. And we're all going to be fighting. Because this cannot be. We cannot allow this. So let's see, for this day, though, with the moon square Mars, there's the fight there, right? 2 degrees, and it's going to tighten up to that 6 degree right here, and then it'll be an exact square to Mars. Mars in Taurus is going to hunker down and get what it wants. Taurus is all about security. Cancer is all about security. Taurus is all about principles. Venus rules Taurus. Venus is learning and having a hard time understanding the abuses of power that are being pushed upon women, the feminine, here and here. And I've been wondering quite some time, I was wondering what this Mars conjunct Uranus, conjunct the node, all this together, July 31st when this happens. I was wondering what it was going to be, but I think as soon as that letter was leaked in May from Scrotus about reversing Roe v. Wade, I think that's because I kept wondering, like, what's it going to be? And it could be more than one thing, right? It could be an earthquake in some place, and it could also be, but could also just be like, this is the critical point on July 31st and August 1st where we've had it. Because, it's explosive, it's unpredictable, explosive, and it's a lot of energy, and it has everything to do with either we're safe or we're not. Well, we're realizing that not only is the government not looking out for us, we're not safe, but they're also becoming predatory, and that's a real problem. So, yeah, good luck, with these guys. It's just, and we have to do it. We have to protect our kids and our grandkids, and we have to protect our principles. So you can see this, the energy, you can see where it's going. That's where it's absolutely going. And that's part of this square here to Chiron, because Chiron, and as Jupiter gets closer to Chiron, and Chiron's going to go retrograde too, the following week, July 19th, it's going to go retrograde this way, and Jupiter's going to keep going this way, and then the sun's going to move, but for now we've got the square. Mercury's going to move even really quick. See how close it is to the sun right now. But for now, we've got that square to, what about me? Chiron in Aries is, what about me? What about my 10-year-old daughter? What about, the new independent energy that needs to be protected? Aries is like, Aries energy is like, I'm here. Taurus is like, I have a body. Gemini's like, I have a brain and senses and I can feel. Taurus can feel that, I have a body. And then in Cancer, it's like, I need safety. This is the process of an infant. This is a process of a little girl growing up. This is a process of creating a stable family. And if these four aspects of real needs are not met, we don't get to the place where we can create our own reality. We don't get to the place where we have our free will. We don't get to the place where we have our creative self-expression, because we're in trauma. If we have trauma in these stages, in these developmental stages here, it hurts our ability to create. It hurts our health. It hurts our ability to relate. And it hurts our ability to trust. It hurts our ability to move forward in our authority. And then we're stuck in this group consciousness that we need to get out of, right? And we can be victimized in Pisces. So I kind of just took you around the chart, like in wounding. Okay, anything else with the moon here? It's been this nice, we've lost the Kite, but it's still in this nice sextile to Neptune, right? And then in the trine, so we've got the aspect of the architect going on here from the moon to Neptune down to the sun. And the sun is still in this other aspect of the architect here. So what does that mean? That means we have opportunities to nurture the family, opportunities to free ourselves from the issues of control that should never be put upon. A woman should always have her own choice. It's her body. Just in principle, you have to, what are we? Just chattel? I guess that's how it was, but we have definitely evolved beyond that, and so this is just not happening anymore. But we're gonna have to fight. We have to fight for our rights all over again. We just went backwards 50 years in one fell swoop. So the moon headed towards Saturn is coming for the power, the control. It's not going to be easy for these guys. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. It's so bad for Scrotus. They had to all get They had to all get security on themselves and their family and their homes. And we're paying for that, you know. There we go with those taxes. So, okay, everything else is the same. No other aspects to the moon. So let's go to Friday. Friday, you can see the moon is there. Has already caught up to Saturn. So the moon's in Aquarius still, of course. So now the moon is involved with the square to the nodes involving Uranus. Uranus opposing the south node with the past, wanting to free up the past. But no, they had to bring us backwards in time, and now we're having to still deal with that because we have this opposition here I was talking about to the abuses of power, right? And we're still trying to break free, and the adjustments need to, as the moon moves closer to Saturn, there's going to be more adjustments to the family situation, giving voice to the freedom of the family. And then Pluto in conjunct Venus is still, look how tight that orb is getting there. We're still talking about, we will talk about it until we're clear of it. So I'm thinking by this time, by July 15th, I'm feeling like there's a lot of talk about getting these justices off the bench. It's exactly like Sonia Sotomayor said, how do we get rid of this stench? Well, we get rid of the stench by getting rid of those 4 justices that lied under oath and perjured themselves. You know, we can impeach them just because they're not doing a job. They're not doing their job. They're not working. They're just sitting back, you know, like somebody commented this morning that there's so many videos where they see Clarence Thomas asleep, sitting asleep, you know, when he should be working. Well, he's not working. He's done nothing except cause problems. So by Friday, we're talking about it. We realize there's a crisis. We are working and digging our heels in. We're tenacious about not allowing this to continue. And I'm thinking that hopefully there's some impeachment proceedings starting. You know, I'm hoping that a lot of Congress comes back from vacation for a week or two or more, or some, you know, or they're working from home and doing Zoom meetings with each other to get this underway, because there's a real problem here. And now look at the square we have to Venus, from Venus to Neptune. That had to have been there yesterday, and I didn't see it. Yep, it was there, of course. Maybe it was there all week. Let's see. Yeah, it was. Well, barely. No, it was there. It's been there all week. Yep, I missed that one, but I got it now. Venus squaring Neptune. Neptune's in the powerful position because it's the planet that moves more slowly. Neptune dissolves. Hopefully, it dissolves victim consciousness in Pisces. Hopefully, it dissolves addictions in Pisces. Hopefully, it brings us into... Neptune has a tendency to either sensitize us, bring us into a more sensitive state of awareness, or numbs us out. Well, what are your numbing agents? You know, that's what you have to be careful of. With this square to Venus here, maybe it's that we can't handle all the negative news that are coming out, and we just want to shut off the news. Take care of yourself when you need to do that. Don't allow yourself to be just obliterated with all the information. Take your naps, take your time out, take silence, spend time in communicating with nature, and that'll bring in the strength. A square can turn into a strength. But this has been a part of this tension field all week, where it's like we're in the compassion of, what about the younger kids? What about these little girls that could be raped and then have to give birth? That's ridiculous. What about a woman who would die if she had to give birth? That's ridiculous. So we're having all these communications around something that needs to protect the feminine, because that's what Venus is all about, is the feminine. And then, of course, Venus has been in this inconjunct crisis mode in aspect to Pluto, needing to make these adjustments. And all the while, the Sun and Mercury in Cancer wants to have that safety and security, that major protection. Cancer is most of all a protective love. So, yeah. So there's that. And while Venus Venus doesn't move that quickly. So this, besides all this week, it'll probably go into next week and still be an orb. So again, we're learning how to protect the feminine. We're learning how vulnerable we are. Yeah. Okay. The Sun is still in the sextile. We still have the aspect of the architect. We still have the grand trine. We still have this aspect of the architect over here. Everything is pointing in the direction of protecting women and children and human rights. Human rights. Okay, that's what Saturn in Aquarius and the moon's all about. So now for Saturday, the Sun, so we've got an exact conjunction here. Look at that. Okay, let's look at the good stuff first. Okay, so again, that, there we go. I feel like I'm drawing like the womb and fallopian tubes here. I mean, we've got the sign of the mother, and then the sign of the mother, birth, death, rebirth, right? Sex, death, rebirth. This is what Scorpio's all about, transformation, and then coming straight from the spirit world. That's what we've got going on here, right? So those of us who can protect women in their childbearing years and children in their childbearing years, that's what this is all about. Remember, most of all, Cancer in the best sense is protective love. It honors all that is sacred. And then Saturn is trining, this is nice here, this trine here to Venus. So maybe there is some the connections there to be able to learn something new and create some support there from people in the government, from some people in the government. And that's especially true because, with the sextile here to Pluto, right? And Neptune trining, look at this exact trine here to Neptune and the Sun in Cancer. Yeah, everything I just said about honoring all that is sacred. Now the moon, see that 2 degrees there. I mean, the moon's waning away from Saturn. It's in Pisces. Of course, it's going to connect with Neptune at some point. This might be our break on Saturday. This might be that we've worked really hard all week, and Saturday is our break to, and is just what is needed in order to stabilize all of this energy. Because with Pluto to Venus, that in conjunct there, Saturn over to, oh goodness, yeah, Saturn in Aquarius that wants to be free, but then we need that safety. Saturday might be one of those days where there's not as much action, but a lot of holding space, and then moving into the weekend for Sunday, because the moon's headed towards Neptune, and we've got a little semi-square here. It's going to be a little bit of friction on Saturday, where we've just taken in so much, and yeah, especially with Saturn there. But other than that, it's really, the major aspect to the moon for the day is this trine here to Venus. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's actually really nice. The moon in Pisces, so Pisces, again, is all about, it's going to be a great day for art, a great day for meditation, a great day for being in your spirituality, being in your empathy, for all things, mystical. The only trouble there could be if somebody's wanting to escape and get into addictive behavior. That's possible, because sometimes, like this whole aspect right here, because this is like, friction, and there's action. It's like an itch that needs to be scratched. And it could be, self-medicating. There's that possibility, like that, because there's a little bit of a need to escape. So be careful, which potions you may pick to do that, and be careful. But again, still no aspect at all to Mars. That's good. We still have that opposition of Pluto going on. But as far as the moon goes, it's more this trine to Venus that I actually really love, because both signs, Pisces and Venus, are very, very, very connected to art and spirituality. As long as we're not, the only trouble that anybody can ever get into with Pisces energy is getting into the victim game of, they're doing it to me. And there's a lot of really good reason for that right now, isn't there? Because, with Scrotus doing its thing. What I'd like to do, though, is hold on to the light, hold on to the fact that we now have, well, she's not there yet, but she was sworn in. We now have Ketanji Brown Jackson, and Justice, and she's our first black woman. Well, we still have two other women of color, but between her and Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Kagan, we have a trio of solid, smart women. And I've always believed that, the darkness, the power over people doing that, I've always believed that they're blind, that they make mistakes with their blindness. And I think we have some lessons to teach them. And I want to spend some energy giving life force, giving so much love to Ketanji Brown Jackson, Justice Sonia Sotomayor, and Elena Kagan, those three justices. And lots of love to Stephen Breyer as he's moving into retirement, because I bet you anything he's helping Ketanji, settle in. I have a feeling that that's what's happening. Let's see, anything else here? No, I love the way the moon for the day is talking to Venus, and it could be that there's some wonderful dreams that came through with the moon in Pisces as well, and of course with Neptune in this grand water trine configuration. This is definitely the best dream time, and getting information to heal the past. And try that on where you put yourself in all the positions of all the people in your dreams, and look at things from all those different angles, because they could be all aspects of our personalities that we may be trying to heal something here, come into more power over here, let go of something over here, question something over here that someone was doing, and they could all be little pieces of ourselves that we're working through, because we are very complex beings. We just are. It's part of being human. So with that said, I think I'll stop here and send you lots of love, big hugs. Take good care, and I'll be back soon. Bye.